Don't play with food, don't play with time, and don't play with money. Apparently, buying a Ford was playing with money, so I was told, don't buy Ford. Now in my mature years, I realize that had I ignored that advice, perhaps I may have purchased a car that would one day be on this list of the most expensive Fords ever sold. Well, it's a missed opportunity, but now I have the opportunity to present to you number 10 on this list, which is a 1967 Shelby Mustang GT500 sold for $1 million. In 2013, the 1967 Shelby Mustang GT500 from the film Gone in 60 Seconds was sold at the Meckham auction in Indianapolis for $1 million. Eleanor was a fictional reproduction of a 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback by Cinema Vehicle Services, so not even an actual Shelby. Of the three produced, it was Nicolas Cage's primary beauty car. Two were totaled while the movie was being made. In 2000, it instantly rose to fame in Hollywood and prompted imitations of it. Number 9. A 2023 Ford GT with starting prices at $1.7 million. We might as well have said $2 million because the 1.7 is the starting price. But of course, when you add a sticker here and there and carbon fiber seatbelt buckles, the price will get you to easily $2 million. The rich really like to play because it was only about 4 to 5 years ago that these were priced below $500,000 for a brand new GT. Driving the cost up has been parts availability and popularity due to the fact that the 2023 model are the last Ford GTs produced. Will they be focusing more on EV technology like the majority of manufacturers? Not quite sure, but the one thing that is certain is that the rich know that they need to get their hands on the last of these supercars. Number 8. The 1967 Shelby GT500 Super Snake sold for $2.2 million. When the lone 1967 Shelby GT500 Super Snake went up for sale in 2019, every serious Shelby collector had to be on high alert. That most likely explains why one man paid double the odds to leave with the Shelby at the Kissimmee 2019 Meckham auction. The most expensive Mustang at the time was sold for $2.2 million, breaking the previous record. The GT40 Mark II that participated at Le Mans shared the same 427 CI racing V8 engine as the ferocious Shelby. Number 7. The 1965 Brawner Hawk Ford Dean Van Lines Special sold for $2.2 million. Possibly the most prestigious decade for the Blue Oval brand was the late 1960s. While the Ford GT40 dominated the 24 hours of Le Mans in the middle to late 1960s, Mario Andretti, driving a 1965 Brawner Hawk Ford Dean Van Lines Special, won the IndyCar title in 1965 and the following year in 66. The Dean Van Lines Special has 75-gallon fuel cells built inside its aluminum side pods and is built on a 1964 Brabham chassis. Al Dean's car was prepared for the IndyCar by renowned IndyCar mechanics Clint Brawner and Jim McGee. One of Andretti's most prestigious race vehicles, the Dean Van Lines Special, also propelled him to racing standard during his first season. At the Meckham auction, the fully restored, award-winning vintage racer was put up for auction and sold for $2.2 million. Number 6. The Bullitt 1968 Ford Mustang GT390 sold for $3.74 million. One of the most famous movie automobile chases ever is the 10-minute one in Bullitt. In it, one of Hollywood's most well-known car enthusiasts, Steve McQueen, pursued a bad guy through the streets of San Francisco. The 1968 Ford Mustang GT390 in question was a green muscle vehicle. The legendary vehicle made a comeback in 2018 after Ford unveiled the 2019 Mustang Bullitt, and it was one of the most expensive unrestored Ford vehicles ever when it was sold at the 2020 Meckham auction in Kissimmee for $3.74 million, commissions included. Number 5. The 1965 Shelby Mustang GT350R prototype sold for $3.85 million. The 1965 Mustang GT350R prototype, which commemorates Carroll Shelby's joining Ford, is a true piece of automotive history. It's understandable why it fetched for $3.85 million in a Mecum auction in 2020, rising to over $4 million when the buyer's premium was added. This Shelby is currently the most valuable Mustang in the world. Number 4. The 1967 Ford GT40 Mark III sold for $5 million. One of the few race-ready cars that Ford modified to become a street-legal sports car is the 1967 Ford GT40 Mark III, one of the GT40 icons. In the 1960s, this was one of the most expensive cars, retailing for $18,000 in 1967. This is about equivalent to $165,000 in today's currency, which is still a far cry from the car's current value. The third generation of the original Ferrari killers, which Ford only produced 7 of, was sold for as much as $5 million. Number 3. The 1965 Ford GT40 Roadster prototype sold for $7.65 million. There were 87 GT40s built during its production period. 12 prototypes, including 5 GT40 Roadsters, existed prior to these. At the RM Sotheby auction in 2019, a unique version and the only Roadster to have consistently survived in its original shape sold for $7,650,000. Legendary drivers like Ken Miles, Carroll Shelby, and Jim Clark raced in it as test and development vehicles created for Shelby America. Number 2. The 1966 Ford GT40 Mark II sold for $9.75 million. A 1966 Ford GT40 Mark II sold for nearly $9.8 million in 2018 at the Monterey RM Sotheby's auction. It's the exact vehicle Ronnie Bucknam and Dick Hutcherson drove to third place in the 1966 Le Mans 24 Hours. It's a unique automobile, the fourth of 8 Mark II copies made, a true Le Mans legend, and the 2003 Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance People's Choice Award winner. And at number 1 is the 1968 Ford GT40 Gulf Mirage lightweight racing car, sold for $11 million. When it sold for $11 million at RM auctions in 2012, the 1968 Ford GT40 Gulf Mirage lightweight racing car set a new record for the most expensive American car ever sold at auction. Its substantial significance is supported by a rich history, including its appearance in the 1971 movie Le Mans, which focused on the intense competitions of the 24 hours of Le Mans. The iconic Steve McQueen, who enjoys high regard amongst auto enthusiasts and contributed to the GT40's astronomical price tag, was also at the wheel. This is Luxury a Lust. Toodles!